Good morning, everyone. It's Joker, and today we are back with another slime video. And today we're going to be taking a look at the new free-to-play Blade Master Oni Hakurou. Now, he is most definitely not one of my favorite free-to-play characters to ever release. We've had a good string of solid to very good free-to-play characters released in the past couple of months, and it's kind of unfortunate to see them regress in such a way. Because what makes free-to-play units good is the fact that they can be used on multiple different teams without having any weird restrictions to their kit. You know, Exalted Champion Veldora, he is restricted a bit because of his orb change being limited to Exalted Champions, but his green buff makes up for it. Rieger and Gopta are orb changers and alt swappers with no restriction. Glenda is a little bit restricted, but then we have this Hakurou, who is a single target alt, cool, lowers guard power, doesn't matter, but his first skill changes 3 Ogre's Pride orbs to blue. So as long as you're Ogre's Pride, you will have orbs become blue. It's 35 points though. 35, which means that unless you are running Space Millum, Wind Lumi, Octogram Romerus, or Wind or Water Soe, with at least level 92 on them, you cannot use this orb change turn 1. You're going to have to bring somebody else to do a turn 1 orb change, which is pretty unfortunate because that locks you out of a lot of stages being able to do that. There are other units that orb change. Don't get me wrong. You can very easily bring them. But being a free-to-play character and having a specifically limited orb change be 35 points is a bit too ridiculous. If we look at Primal Demon Misery, she is also a free-to-play wind character, and she also has a triple orb change, but she specifically changes oranges to blue. And then she lowers pierce resistance, which I think is actually a bit more impactful than Hakurou's, because if you're already running another orb changer, you're probably already getting that 10% gauge increase that Hakurou is doing. But she's 25 points. She's 10 points less because she's locked to a certain color. I think if they had made Hakurou 30 points, would have been fine. Even if he's changing 3 orbs, because again, it is not generic. It is only Ogre's Pride. So this is stupid. I don't understand why this is here. His second skill, again, Ogre's Pride only. Ogre's Pride alt gauge increase by 20% every single time you use it, and then increases blue orb damage until the end of battle by 10%. This, or 10% right here, is not overly impactful towards your ultimate nuke, right? Because you're looking on a stacking 8-turn blue focus team, you're nuking. You're doing gigantic 30 million damage with Momiji. Right? Your blue orb damage, while helpful, doesn't really add to the total damage dealt unless you're trying to sweat really hard in Jubilee. And even then, we're not going to use this Hakurou. So he has 2 skills, which for maximum power are locked to Ogre's Pride. And Ogre's Pride is an okay category. It does get new units added to it because, you know, we get a Shion, but no, not we get a Shuna every other month almost. But I would not call a lot of these units super top tier. So Hakurou, I think, is just in an unfortunate spot of being a overly limited free-to-play character. But when you do build a team around him, he might be able to do some good. So let's see what that looks like. Alright, starting off, we're going to use this team in the EX2 of Beatdown Battle for Ogre's Pride. Soe, free-to-play Rieger, Hakurou, Momiji, and then Water Shuna. She is magic, she is an ogre, she has an orb change, and she has an alt buff. So she will benefit this team, or, well, Momiji, quite well. Now, we know how much damage Momiji can do in a full, damage support setup. So we're not going to do 28 million, 23 million damage here, but we're certainly going to do plenty more than what we need to do for this stage. And because we have built almost a full team of ogres, that means that we are in Hakurou's best use case. But immediately, turn 1, we see the problem. Hakurou, I mean, we're built for this special convert, and while yes, we do have Soe, and while yes, there are the characters who can do this, I can't use this to change this turn 1. So that's already not a good thing when the free-to-play character cannot do a convert for the team on turn 1. Literally every other free-to-play character that has an orb change that's beatdown battle, tempered edge stage was built for them, was able to use it turn 1. I do not know what compelled them to make Hakurou different. It may, because they were going to give Soe his orb change. I don't really believe that. His orb change is good, and it's not limited to these two. So it is just heavily unfortunate. And people might call me, oh, I didn't even use the orb change. All right, well, hold on. Okay, let's use Soe's orb change. That way we can actually do this. And then we'll send him away for Momiji, and we'll send Rieger away for Shuna. So now our entire front line is Ogre's Pride. So that means that next turn, if we do get 3 orbs of something, then we can actually use Hakurou at full advantage, right? But apart from that, if we have orbs with Rieger, we ain't changing those. Alright, so this works out quite well. We would not be able to convert this on... Well, actually we would, because we have Shuna and Rieger. But we're going to use Hakurou, since that's the whole friggin' point of this showcase. So, triple orb change, all 3 of them are ogres, which means that even if it's 2 greens and 1 orange, or 3 greens, they would all get changed to blues, which is good, only on a very specific team. Now, we do have a lot of other orb changers that are good. Violet, Guy, even Wind Trainee, right? She is still very, very useful to alt rush and do a special convert, and so she would maybe take the spot of this this Hakurou, because she can alt rush your highest attacking character, which should be your nuker. She can orb convert turn 1. So I think that just... And she's magic. She's not on Ogre's Pride, sure, but I think she'll give a bit more value than this Hakurou will in everyday kind of usage. So here, we can do it again. We use the orb change. Boom, takes care of that. And then we can bring in Soe for Shuna, even though she would have had her trait and everything, but we can use his orb change. And then boom, we have a full hand. Let's now start using the alt rush ability. 20% and 10% blue damage permanent. So 20% alt gauge, alright, that gives him an alt. Not really who I'm looking to alt with, but hey, it works. And then we'll send these, and now these blues will do an extra 10% damage, and it will go higher and higher the more we use that alt rush ability. I don't know with this specific team that I want to alt rush that much, because we only have a double alt swapper. We don't have the likes of Blanc who's triple alt swapping. I kind of hope that the 3rd unit has an alt swap, but it would be kind of weird on the DPS character, so I don't really know. But hey, at least we're getting a lot of use out of the triple orb change for Hakurou, because we can just do it again. Excellent. Let's alt rush again. Alright, cool. Now Soe has an alt and Momiji, and now we can take out Soe for Rieger, and then we can use his alt swap ability. And we're going to get locked in now on turn 4, because this is the bind turn. But so far, as long as you can build a team that is centered around Ogre's Pride, Hakurou will do good things for you as a free-to-play character. But as soon as you take him away from that, and you try and put him on Primal Demon, or Commander, his usefulness is going to drop off a cliff, because he's not going to change any of their orbs except his. Alright, so it looks like we got kind of lucky here. We didn't get a Rieger orb. That is not a color that we want. So, alt swap, orb change, boom. These are all Ogre's Pride orbs. Alright, excellent. Looking good. So, am I being hard on Hakurou? Possibly. Do I foresee him being uber duper super useful in the future? No. No, I don't. I like Gobta more, I like Rieger more, I like Glenda more. Even though she is half specific, because she's double alt swapping, but she's giving commander allies that synergy rate. Hakurou is rushing alt, and especially on an AoE team with the alt gauge on blue charms, or Octogram Lumi, who gives extra alt gauge on orbs with her second skill, if she's double skill fused, we don't really need an alt rusher. Especially since this team, as of right now, if you don't have Rieger, you don't have Blanc, doesn't have an alt swapping character to begin with. So what you're going to end up with... Alright, so this hand right here, we would not be able to change these 2 orange Rieger orbs. Thankfully, we have a Momiji orb that's green, so we could alt swap. We could change that one Momiji. Boom, because Rieger is not Ogre's Pride. But then we can just use Rieger's orb change. So he works well if you have other orb changers around, but if he is your primary orb changer and it is not a full Ogre's Pride team, you're going to suffer a bit. Let's alt rush even more, even though we have the EX alt. Let's just get more orb damage out of this for funsy onesies. And we're going into turn 7. We're looking good. We don't have that many big time buffs on this team because we've got specifically 2 utility orb changers more than anything else. We're not running, Elmezia, Violet, Blanc, Soe, and Momiji, and we got 480 points to use on a nuke turn where we only have 400. We're not doing that levels of power. But we have managed to use Hakurou's orb change essentially every turn, which is good for his showcase. And it does show off that if you build the team, you can do okay. Alright. So thank you for the 104 damage counter. Really appreciate that. Alright, let's nuke with Momiji. We've seen what Hakurou does for this team. He is pure 100% utility, which can be good, can be bad. If you have ogres, like, there are ogres, Shion, Shunas, Hakurou, not really so much. We've just got the brand new Soe. Benimaru, he gets units sometimes, I guess. Sometimes. Let's bring in Shuna. Let's use her alt buff. And then we'll bring Soe in, and we can go ahead and nuke. And he has an alt too, which is nice. So here, if we have enough points, so let's see. 1, 2, 3, right? We'll do, so 100, that's 160, plus the 55, this should be up to 100 points. So now we've got full power, now we've got a full hand of blues that are, 30% attack buff because we've used his alt rush twice. So now we're going to do pretty good damage. Let's send the blues on each character just for funsies. 1, 2, 3, and 4, 5, 6. Actually, no, let's send the Soe alt as well. Not Soe. The Hakurou alt, because this is his showcase. Let's turn this on. I don't think I've ever used his alt realistically, but let's do it anyways. 353, 350. I think Grucius might just die. Oh yeah, he's dead. Okay, well, I think Hakurou might kill someone. The one good thing is that all of the characters' alts from this meta so far look really good. His is pretty simple, but I do like that cut-in to the autumn leaves. I do like just the purple line going up as it cut him in half. 804. Alright, that's not bad damage for this team, for a single target free-to-play character. And Momiji's going to do a couple million, so shock surprise. Alright, Haze something autumn slash. Haze style Dance of Autumn Leaves. I knew some of that. 4.2. Alright, there we go. So there's Hakurou in probably his best setting. Let's take him off the Ogre's Pride team and move him onto another blue focus team where he might be able to do some good. Alright, we're going to go way back. And the Water 2.0 team does have a few ogres on it. Shuna and Shion. We just used Shuna in the last video, or last clip, but, she is meant for this Water 2.0 summer team with Protector Milim. The Hinata will be the nuker, but she is not on Ogre's Pride, so she will not benefit from the orb change or the alt rush ability from Hakurou. Neither will this Light Milim, but Light Milim can convert her own orbs to blue. She has a 45% attack buff, which is higher than Hinata's 25. So we still have 3 ogres on the team. I think that's going to be really the minimum that you're going to want to effectively use this Hakurou, unless you have a butt ton of other orb changers, like Milim can do it. If Shuna wasn't, then, she has an orb change as well. I think this should go okay. We just have to deal with Hinata not getting an alt rush. But none of these characters are EXs, so we don't need that much alt gauge to begin with. Quick note before we start, I'm swapping Hakurou's support to Lumi, that way we have 35 points to use his orb change turn 1. That's the only way you can get around it. Because we're running another blue focus team, and this is not a set starting hand stage, I want to make sure that if we get good luck, we can actually orb convert turn 1 with him. Alright, well that didn't take long. So, if we had put Milim in the back, we could have brought her in for Hakurou and converted this, but I didn't want Shuna and Hinata to get the attack nerf that Shuna puts on turn 1. So, because these are both Hakurou orbs, we can freely use his orb convert turn 1, and boom. Alright, we took care of that. So let's bring Hinata in, and let's take Hakurou out for Shuna. That way we get the extra skill points from those two, plus the protection gauge from Shion. So this will work out pretty well. I mean, this is a traditional stacking team. It's just very, very, very old. But these characters have been around for a long time. Maybe you've pulled them, maybe you haven't. And if you need to clear this stage, Hakurou can help you do it, because none of these characters are EXs, right? I intentionally did that on purpose, not bringing EX characters. Alright, what are we doing here? He now costs 55 points. And I don't have a dedicated green orb changer. Okay, well that is kind of unfortunate right there. Let's, I mean, we could do this, and then we could take Shuna out for Milim, and we can send 5 blues here, because we can use her self-convert, and then we'll bring Hakurou back in for Milim. Alright, we can at least get Hinata a stack of the Milim buff. That's 10% water every single time we use it. Of course, she has no orbs that we're actually going to send here, so kind of pointless. Oh well. 1 damage? Excellent. Love to see it. Okay. So turn 3, we have to send Hinata away. What is this? Okay, well, actually, I don't know if we can actually do that. No, we don't have enough points. Man. How awful. Alright, let me reset. Let me come back for a better turn 3. Alright, we have a much better turn 2. We can bring Shuna back in for Hakurou and just use her orb change. Call it a day. This way, both of our unnerved characters can get a stack of Milim. That looks pretty nice. We just could... Okay, we gotta turn that off. Just couldn't have Shuna up front turn 2, which means that we didn't get her trait or anything, which is just extra skill points. Not really super helpful, but, you know, some is better than none, right? Do get a double stack. Now we have 134 points to use on turn 3, which is going to be a lot more useful. But we do have to send Hinata and Shuna away. And, okay, well, I mean, Hinata has an ult, so that's good. We don't have to worry about that too much. Let's use her buff skill. Let's see, do we have enough points for that? No, okay, so let's not do this. Let's just do the stack. So 15% all damage up to a max of 60. Let's do that for now. And we can just start stacking. And then let's get our 2 stacks of Milim on Shuna and Hinata. If we take out Hinata first, we can bring Hakurou in, have a whole front line of Ogre's Pride units, then use Hakurou's orb change efficiently. So, boom. Alright. And let's do the Shuna convert first, because she's going to change 2 oranges, and then that leaves these 3 orbs that Hakurou can convert. And, I mean, I don't really think we need to bring Milim in. Like, there's no reason that we need to hold Shuna in the back. She's not going to be our DPS character, so let's just send it. Let's get these points back, and then we can bring Hinata back in every turn now, and just get a stack on her. We can use her attack buff and hold that as well, because it's an attack and crit damage. So it's not going to go away. And we're already doing pretty good damage. Alright, and that's another good hand right there. We can just use Hakurou again, even though we're going to bring in an ult. So let's take Shuna... No, not Shuna. Shion out of here. Boom. Alright. Let's do another stack of Milim. And this is pretty much how you're going to run Hakurou if you're not using a full, like, 5-unit Ogre's Pride team. You just have to be very cautious of who is coming in, who is coming out, and whose orbs are doing what, if you want to really use his orb convert properly. So here, we can use his orb change, because all 3 of these orbs are Shuna's. We have a Hinata orb coming in, but we're going to swap her away from Milim, and she can just change that herself. So let's use another stack, plus maybe the buff now, because we'd only need 25 points this turn after this. So now we have 2 stacks. That's good. You come out for Milim. That leaves the 1 orange. We could either use Shuna's convert or Milim's convert. Milim, because it's cheaper. And we got another full hand. So we're looking good still. Shuna, I think, is going to have her ult now, unfortunately. Which we don't have an ult swapper. Kind of the problem that older non-EX teams have. Ult swapping was not a thing. So I think we just go ahead and send it. Okay. Yeah, actually this works out pretty well. So, let's do this orb change right here. Boom. We can take Shuna out for Hinata. That'll just swap the alts there. We can get a stack of Milim. And then we just need to use another orb change for Hakurou, and we definitely have points for that. So let's use the third stack of Hinata, and now we just need to hold off on using the last one until the nuke turn. So now you come out, we have 3 Hakurou orbs that are not blue, so we can use his convert again, and now they are blue. So had to efficiently play around that kind of gimmick, and now we have 3 alts, and we could ult here. Like, we have enough points, we are going to do enough damage. It's not that big of a deal, and I think we will. And if we didn't have to, well then, I think we have a good hand to orb change again. Alright, ow. Thanks. Yeah, we could change this again if we wanted to with Hakurou, but I don't think it's entirely necessary. Let's just bring Hinata in for him, and we'll go ahead and get this done. So, attack buff. Alright, you come out of here for Shuna, who doesn't have an orb technically, but oh well. And then we'll use 1, 2, 3, and we're gonna kill. We still have the crit seal, so we can crit normally and do the extra damage that we've picked up. And yeah, it's worked. We're nuking 2 turns early, technically, quote unquote. She still has her defense. Not a big deal. We have enough power with this team to get through that. This is not a particularly difficult fight. So Hinata, 553. Pretty good for an old team. Pretty good. But that's Hakurou, with a couple Ogre's Pride, but not a full Ogre's Pride team. And if we try and take away any more characters, it's just going to get worse for him. Alright, this video is already over 20 minutes. We did 2 fights. I mean, I don't think we need to show him anymore. We've used his 2 probably best option teams. There are a number of others that you could, like Tempest Elite or something like that, because we do have Tempest Elite Shuna, we do have Tempest Elite Benimaru. I mean, yeah, that can work, but we don't have their beatdown battle to really use them efficiently, and that's really not a good team to begin with anyways. So, there are options that you can pair him with. Some of these characters really don't care about blue orbs, like this Benimaru. This Xion free-to-play, she is also an orb changer, and she's stacking crits. So, I mean, you could try and build, like, a Warrior's Mind team around her, technically. So, I mean, it's not that we're lacking options for Hakurou. It's just that he's only useful to these characters, and nobody else. Literally nobody else. So, a lot of 4 stars, a lot of old 5 stars, a lot of Shunas. Sure. Overall, I don't think we're going to see much use of this Hakurou outside of this meta. And even right now, like, the players who can replace him most certainly are, which is not really what you want to do for a free-to-play character. They are welfare characters. They will help you out in very specific scenarios, some more than others. Hakurou, less than that. But let me know what you guys think of this new Hakurou. Do you think I'm being a bit too harsh on him, or do you agree? Let me know in the comments. But that's it for me, guys. Take it easy, and I'll see you all later.